Welcome to today's tutorial. It is the Harlequin pouch by Leanne Sewing Patterns, and in this video we're going to make this pouch. Now I did mention at the end when I remembered, because I don't use the pattern for this, I didn't have enough of this vinyl, so I only cut enough for the front two pieces, and then I just used a different pattern piece for the back. So as you'll see, my pieces didn't line up correctly between the front and the back, and I just cut them down. Pouches are very beginner friendly, or just friendly in general if they don't match up. As long as you check your panels before you sew them together, you can always cut them down. They do not have to be exact. So that's what you'll see in this video. But yeah, so it's very beginner friendly. Like I said, I did not interface this. I should suggest that if you use cotton, that you interface it with like Decaville Light because of the seams right here. It will give it a little more oomph. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time. So today we're going to do a real quick tutorial on the Harlequin pouch by Leanne Sewing Patterns. I will put the link down below if you would like to purchase it. So the only thing that you're going to need is a zipper. I use Zipper by the Yard. You'll need a zipper head. I'm only using one zipper tab in this tutorial. You'll need 4 exterior pieces, 1 back exterior piece, and 2 lining pieces, and that's it. So I'm not interfacing this because I'm using vinyl for the exterior and waterproof canvas for the interior. So the first thing that we're going to do is get our exterior pieces and make sure you are matching up the right ones. So it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. You just want to make sure you're lining them up correctly. Yep. Okay. So we're going to do both of them at the same time. You're going to flip them right sides together, each side. Just like that. And we're going to sew them down at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now all I'm going to do is cut them off one at a time. And we are going to open them up, butterfly the stitch, and we're going to sew down on each side of your seam at 1/8 of an inch. Anytime you need to make adjustments, just make sure your needle's down. Just cut off the next one, press open your seam, and do it again. Oops, heavy foot. So next what we're going to do is make sure you are doing the middle. So your notches should be on the outside. And we're going to put them right sides together. And what I'm going to do, because I think some of this vinyl I did not have the exact size, I'm just going to match up that seam first, because I can always trim it down. And we are going to sew this down at 1/4 inch, and we're going to butterfly that seam as well. An 1/8 of an inch. And I'm just going to come over and start up the other side. And there's our front panel. So what you can do is take your back panel, and like I said, because I did not have exact amounts, but I want them to be the same size. So, or if I cut it wrong, I do this for all of my patterns. I'm going to just add this back panel. And as you can see, for some reason I have too much at the top. So I'm just going to trim that down. Not supposed to do this, but whatever. So there we go. Now they match. So the next thing I'm going to do is add my zipper pull. So I'm going to burn the edges of my zipper. If it will work with me. There we go. So you want your zipper pull to the left, and we are going to add our zipper tab, right sides together, sew them down at 1/4 inch seam allowance. Like that. Then we're going to just roll this tab over once and sew it down, top stitch with an 1/8 of an inch. And this is a good time to make sure your zipper is straight into that zipper tab. So it should look like that, and we're just going to cut off this back excess. I'm not going to cut off the sides. I want it in my seam allowance. Next, I'm going to take my front exterior, and I'm going to make a mark. My seam allowance is going to be 3/8. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 3/4. I'm going to make a mark on both sides. All right, we're going to lay our zipper right sides together. We're going to line up this zipper tab with that mark. You can use double-sided tape here, but I'm just going to flip it down. All right, take one of your lining pieces, right sides together. Your lining is supposed to be a little bit smaller so it sits better into your pouch. All right, now, need to turn my clips over. We are going to sew it from the exterior up with your lining down. We are going to start on one end and we are going to end at this mark here so we can pull our zipper out of the seam allowance. Make sure you move your zipper pull out of the way. When you get to that mark, you want to leave your zipper your needle down at that mark. Pull your zipper apart. Lift up your foot, pull the zipper out, and then I'm going to finish sewing and backstitch over where that zipper is. So you should have one out and one facing up. Now, we're going to top stitch just the exterior and the seam allowance only. I'm going to pull the lining to the right. And again, just the exterior and seam allowance only. Don't pull too tight or it will get wavy, but you want it straight. There we go. Just going to finger press this down, and there is one side. Now we're going to take the exterior, right sides together, and I just line up the sides and then clip the zipper. Take your last piece, right sides together with the lining, match it up, and reclip. Now take a ruler and pen, and you want to mark 3/4 from the side where your zipper is. You want to make sure that it lines up. So make your mark. You can also double check with this where the zipper is. If it don't match up, we can always fix it. So we're going to sew that down at 1/4 inch. I like to backstitch over the zipper tab. Don't forget to move that zipper pull. And again, when we get to the mark, needle down, foot up, move your zipper out of the way, and finish out. Now, before we top stitch, what we want to do is open this up, line everything up, and make sure that your zipper ends in the same place. If not, you need to unpick it and pull it again. So again, we're going to only top stitch through the exterior and the seam allowance. So this time everything's going to be to the right except for the exterior and seam allowance. Okay, here we go. So So now we want to open up that zipper halfway, and then right sides together, your exterior and then your lining. You want to match up these seams. I always start with my top seams first, just because I can fix everything else. And then just line everything up and clip it closed. You want a hole in the bottom for turning. I'm going to add a tab to the outside. All right, so you want to start at one clip and go all the way around and stop at the other clip. And I like to back stitch at the notches so it doesn't come undone whenever we go to do the bottoms. So again, start here, stop here. And I'm going to do 3/8. And I'm going to back stitch a couple of times. Back stitch over that seam. Before we turn it, we just want to, I'm going to reach in here to my seams and make sure I got them. All right, so before we trim it, we're going to box these corners. We're just going to put our hand in, put our finger in this seam because it's so tiny. And then you want to alternate your seam allowance and match up those seams. Again, put your finger in there, spread it apart, alternate those seams, and match them up and clip it. And then I'm going to sew them down at 3/8. I'm not sure what the pattern calls for, but I like 3/8 for this pattern. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for the lining. Just reach your finger in there. Match up those center seams. So now I will trim down any extra threads or excess is the word I'm looking for. but I will not do it on my seams. Just a little bit. Definitely not the bottom, because we still got to turn that. So now I'm just going to turn the whole bag out. There's my tag. Push out all the corners. Now we're going to close this up by just folding this in. And top stitching it at 1/8 of an inch. If you didn't put your tag on the outside, now's a good time to put it on the inside. That was almost my finger. Stuff everything back in. And I think this pouch also has, I think that's why my sizes didn't match up, because the back is supposed to look like this, but I did not have enough of this. So I just used, added 2 pieces together to get the back. I think that's why it did not match up, now that I remember correctly. So if your back exterior, if you cut it out per the pattern, you would do the back the same as the front with the butterfly seams. So there we go. You made the Harlequin pouch by Leanne, and if you have any questions, let me know. This is a really quick video. It's very simple, very beginner friendly, and if you use cotton, I would interface it, especially because of all the seams. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you soon.